Welcome to datascience.show, the podcast where data science meets executive leadership. We talk with top AI and analytics thought leaders about turning data into real business impact. If you're a C-level leader or data expert shaping the future, you're in the right place.
Welcome to datascience.show, where data science meets leadership. I'm Mirko, and today we're tackling a high-stakes question many executives are already facing. How do you capture margin from algorithmic pricing without sacrificing customer trust, regulatory exposure, or long-term revenue? I'll start with a short, anonymized vignette that illustrates the risk. Then I'll walk you through a decision-first playbook you can act on in the next 30 to 90 days.
Picture this. A retailer launches a new dynamic pricing layer. For a few weeks, average order value rises and short-term revenue ticks up, a clear win if you look at gross bookings. But then customers begin to notice odd price swings on repeat purchases. Complaints rise, social posts surface, and the churn rate in a key cohort increases measurably. On paper, the model is optimizing revenue. In reality, the pricing behavior erodes trust and fuels returns and complaints. Short-term uplift, longer-term loss. Sound familiar? That tension is exactly why governance matters.
My thesis for this episode is decision first. Don't optimize models in isolation. Operationalize pricing as a set of commercial decisions. Translate pricing goals into board-ready SLOs. Detect economic and fairness drift early. Implement tolerance bands and rollback gates. And make sure contracts and procurement force visibility. By the end of this episode, you'll have a prioritized checklist to brief finance, product, and legal, and a clear 30-90-day remediation plan.
Before we dive into the mechanics, let's align on terms and objectives. When I say algorithmic pricing, I mean models and automation that set prices continuously or segment-specifically across large customer populations. For the business, the objectives are straightforward: protect margin, sustain customer lifetime value, reduce operational friction, and maintain competitive positioning. So when you measure pricing systems, metrics must map back to P&L and customer economics, not just model accuracy. That framing keeps leadership conversations tactical and actionable. Here are the board-ready metrics you should insist on. First, realized price delta. The actual difference between model price and baseline price, reported by segment and channel. This ties directly to margin. Second, uplift versus control. Classic experiment framing, so you can attribute revenue change to the algorithm rather than seasonality. Third, churn elasticity. How sensitive are different cohorts to price changes over 30, 90, and 365 days? Fourth, outlier incidence. How often prices deviate beyond expected bounds, and which customers are affected? Fifth, detection latency. Time from an anomalous price event to detection and action. Present these as a compact dashboard to the board. Delta mapped to gross margin, uplift mapped to incremental revenue, and elasticity mapped to LTV impact. Boards care about dollars and risk windows. Frame everything that way. Detecting economic and fairness drift is less about fancy statistics and more about cadence and contrast. Sample prices daily, compare cohorts week over week, and run attribution checks against control groups. Watch for subtle distributional shifts, a rising tail of high prices on a small but vocal cohort, systematic increases for lower-income zip codes, or rising variance during promotions. Those are signal, not noise. Make sure sampling cadence matches commercial exposure. High-traffic SKUs deserve stricter monitoring. And remember, fairness checks should be cohort-based and tied to commercial impact, not academic completeness. You want to know where the business could lose trust, not just where a metric moved.
Now for the operational controls: tolerance bands, SLOs, and automated gates. Define SLOs like price stability. For example, no more than X% of transactions deviating beyond Y% from expected price per week for high-sensitivity segments. Set tolerance bands that trigger human review at 2 levels: a warning band for the analytics team, and a critical band that automatically holds rollouts. Implement staged rollouts, canary to 1%, then 10%, then broad, with automated rollback if SLOs are breached. For high-sensitivity customers, require human-in-the-loop approval. These controls protect both margin and reputation. In short, automate scale, but gate risk with guardrails that make sense commercially.
Contracts and vendors are where leaders can lock in accountability. Insist on audit access to model decision logs and telemetry, defined performance windows for uplift and stability, and clear liability caps for pricing errors that materially harm customers. Add clauses for monitoring telemetry retention and support for sampling requests. Procurement should require vendor commitments on detection latency and rollbacks, not just uptime. And always involve legal early. The language should allow for independent audit and rapid remediation. If a vendor resists transparency, that's a red flag, because you can't govern what you can't measure.
Here's a prioritized 30 to 90-day audit and remediation playbook you can use immediately. In the first 30 days, inventory all pricing models and touchpoints. Run quick sampling audits on top 20 SKUs or customer segments and surface any outlier incidents. Define preliminary SLOs and set up daily monitoring for detection latency. In days 30 to 60, run controlled experiments where possible. Quantify uplift versus control, and compute churn elasticity for affected cohorts. Add automated gates for canary rollouts. In days 60 to 90, finalize contractual clauses with vendors, implement staged rollouts with rollback automation, and brief finance and legal with the board-ready dashboard we discussed. Prioritize actions that reduce uncertainty fastest: visibility, small experiments, and gate automation.
Leadership coordination matters. Who signs what? Product owns execution. Data science owns modeling. But finance and legal own approval for SLOs and risk tolerance. Fund remediation as a discrete program. Don't bury it in feature budgets. Set a reporting cadence. Weekly during audits, then monthly to the executive committee with the compact dashboard. Prepare customer communication templates for price incidents. Transparent, remedial, and quick. A proper post-incident note prevents rumor and preserves trust. These organizational decisions are as important as technical fixes.
Looking ahead, embed pricing governance into your product roadmap and experiment review. Make SLO sign-offs part of launch checklists. Regularly review vendors and model drift as part of vendor management. Operationalized multi-horizon metrics, short-term uplift plus cohort-based LTV and churn, so teams can't game one number to the detriment of another. Practically speaking, this means treating algorithmic pricing as an ongoing line item in product and finance reviews, not a one-time model build.
To close, 3 executive actions you can take this week. 1. Demand a one-page dashboard that maps price delta, uplift versus control, churn elasticity, outlier incidents, and detection latency, presented in dollars and risk windows. 2. Run a 30-day sampling audit on your top revenue SKUs and one sensitive customer cohort. 3. Add explicit audit and rollback clauses to any new pricing vendor contract and bring legal in now. If you want a ready-to-use tool, there's a downloadable one-page algorithmic pricing governance checklist at datascience.show/pricing to brief your teams. That checklist contains sample SLO language, contract play points, and a prioritized 30-90-day plan.
Thanks for listening. If this episode helped you think through pricing governance, subscribe to the show, share it with a colleague in finance or product, and grab the checklist at datascience.show/pricing. It's designed for board conversations and rapid execution. That's the difference between models and value.
Thanks for listening to datascience.show. If you found value in this episode, subscribe, share it with your network, and join us next time as we explore how data science drives smarter decisions and better business outcomes.